Hello, boys and girls. It is Tuesday, our first day of school this week to read together at reading time. And this story is called Ice Cream by Pat Lucia, and it is a book that the afternoon kids are all taking home. Now, I want you to look at this book carefully as we read it, because any inchworm is in this book with two different sounds. So I'm not going to read the whole book today, but I want you to read it at home, boys and girls in the afternoon class, and listen for the any inchworm I sound and the any inchworm I. Ice cream, says I for any inchworm, doesn't it? I'm going to open up to the first page. And you're going to look at this book today in your packet. Look, there is ice cream on her shoes. How did she get ice cream on her shoes, I wonder? You'll have to look at the story. She must be eating it on a hot day. Is it dripping? Have you ever had ice cream on your shoes? Let's look at the two I's sounds in this sentence. There is ice cream on her shoes. I says like is, and I can say I like ice cream. So as you read this book today, boys and girls, take a close look at the words and find the any inchworm and the any inchworm I. Okay? Now we're going to move on to today's story for everybody to look at. It's called Best Thanksgiving Book. And these are all the letters of the alphabet in this book. So we're not going to look at our zoo pack cards today and letter cards, because we're going to find letters in this book all about Thanksgiving. Best Thanksgiving Book ABC Adventure. Do you see pilgrims and Indians? And pumpkins too? Oh, they harvested a lot of pumpkins, didn't they? The Indians helped the pilgrims grow in their pumpkins in the garden and in the fields. Do you remember the story of the very first Thanksgiving? We'll review it today. We're going to be talking about it this week, along with our own Thanksgiving that we're going to be having very soon with our families. Best Thanksgiving Book Adventure, written by Pat Whitehead. Illustrated by Susan T. Hall. So Susan did the pictures in the story. Do you see the cornucopia? Full of fruits and vegetables. Oh, there's a squirrel. Is he going to have a feast? There's acorns. Oh, we're going to have some acorn activities this week at our calendar time. Yummy. Look at that roasted turkey. Do you know the story of the first Thanksgiving? We've talked about it, haven't we, boys and girls? A is for America. Many years ago, the pilgrims came to America. Do you see the map? Remember how they sailed and sailed across the ocean? They were hungry and sick, but they wanted to come to a new world and live and be free away from that king. So they came to America. A for America. B is for big. They sailed on a big boat, a big ship called do you remember what it was called? Mayflower. These people were ready to come to a new world and build their home and live a new life. That little boy better be careful. He's going to get his hat back. Pilgrims had buckles on their hats, didn't they? They wanted to be free, and they wanted to come to a new world to feel like, so they could all feel like a king. They weren't happy with the king, the bossy king in England, so they decided to come to a new land. C is for courage. Courage. It took courage to cross the ocean. They had to be brave and courageous. There were many dangers, dangers. E is for eat. Oh, do they look hungry? When they landed, the pilgrims needed food to eat. They looked for fresh food in the forest. Are there acorns and mushrooms? I see a turkey hiding. G is for gathered. They gathered seeds and berries to eat as much as they could, but then the weather changed. It was a H is for hard. The first winter in America was long and hard. And they lived in one long house together. All the pilgrims that came on the ship. Some were very sick after that long trip. And after the hard winter, they lived together. Many of the pilgrims were ill. Any inchworm, ill. Ill means sick. You see the Father giving them medicine. J is for joy. When spring finally came, it was time of joy. They were happy. They survived and lived through that cold, hard winter. J for joy. K is for kind. One day, a kind Indian came to the pilgrim village. Boys and girls, do you remember that kind Indian's name? K for kind. His name was Squanto. L is for liked. He liked the pilgrims and wanted to help them. They were thankful for that pilgrim. The Indians were thankful for that. The pilgrims were thankful for the Indians. That Indian helped them, didn't he? M is for more. Soon more Indians came. See their buckskin clothes? They wore the Indians wore deerskin clothes and feathers in their hair. They lived off the land in the forest, didn't they? More and more Indians came. N is for nice. They were nice and showed the pilgrims how to plant corn. Remember, they showed them to put a dead fish in the dirt to make it really good for growing. The pilgrims listening carefully. And the pilgrims being nice. N for nice. There goes the seed. O is for one. One of the Indian was called Squanto. He was their very special friend. P is for peace. The Indians and pilgrims agreed to live in peace. No fighting. They were kind and helpful to each other and lived together. Q is for quail. Together they hunted quail and turkey. That bird is a quail. The pilgrims came with guns, and the Indian Native Americans hunted with bow and arrow. I bet they taught each other lots of things. That's what friends do. They help and teach each other. R is for ready. They would be ready for the coming winter. Who's hiding? Please eat ham on Thanksgiving Day. Gobble, gobble. S is for summer. When summer ended, the pilgrims wanted to have a feast with all the food that they harvested. Look at all those pumpkins. T is for thanks. They had plenty of food and many new friends. They wanted to give thanks. They wanted to say thank you to the Indians and thank you to God. U is for join us. Us. And there's the U. That's a letter at the end of the alphabet. Join us, please, they said to the Indians. Join us in a big feast of Thanksgiving. They wanted to celebrate being alive and having lots of food and friends to help them. V is for very. It will be a very special holiday, said the Indians. So all the little children want to come to the celebration, don't they? There's a little baby in the back. Papoose. W is for wonderful. The Indians came for the feast. Long tables were filled with wonderful things to eat. There's the roast turkey. What's that Indian eating? Corn on the cob. Apples and berries. There's a cornucopia. Fish. Lots of fish they ate, and turkey and venison, deer meat. They were excited. X for excited. Look at them all eat together as friends. WXY is for yelled. The children yelled and played and were happy. Remember, for 3 days, they Z for zigzagged as they ran and chased and played games. They can zigzag here and there. You can kind of see a Z. Zoom, zoom. And everyone gave thanks. What a wonderful Thanksgiving day. They had a Thanksgiving for 3 days celebrations, dancing and singing and eating, playing games, telling stories. The end. And so today we still give thanks and have a Thanksgiving dinner and say thank you to God. All right, boys and girls, we got all the way through the alphabet with that book, A to Z. And we'll see you tomorrow. We'll join us tomorrow with Mrs. Casper at the calendar, and we'll do number games, and then we'll have another good story tomorrow. See you then.